All righty. Hello, folks. This is SBG News and Views with Lewis Herms and Robert Imbriali today. That was Weird Al Yankovic with Foil, and by a awesome audience request. I did hesitate to play that because if you may have noticed, Patton Pedo Oswalt was in that video, but at least he revealed himself as a reptilian at the end. So therefore, I let it slide. But it was a concern for me because based on what this guy said on formerly known as Twitter, he pretty much is a self-proclaimed pedo. So that's an issue. Anyways, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, and share everywhere you can. And make sure you check that you are still subscribed because although Rumble does its best, it seems like many people get unsubscribed and they have to resubscribe again. So, not fun. All right, let's bring on my brother, Robert Imbriali.
Really? How are you, my friend?
Awesome. How you doing?
I am having a great time. I'm just happy to be here. This is my happy space to be in this little seat here and be able to disseminate the goods. I tell you something really interesting. I was watching Steve Bannon this morning, and Tucker Carlson was the person being interviewed, and Bannon just was like hands off and let him talk, and he was talking about really what people are really looking for is they're looking for people to bring the truth forward, and we're starting to see that shift now, not only in the media that we're playing in here, but we're starting to see it more and more in mainstream. And he was going through the story of how he was indoctrinated into mainstream media and believed the things that they were reporting until a day in 2003 where CNN sent him to Iraq. And he was all for the war, and we're going to do this. This is great. And then he got there, and he's like, this is nothing like we've been reporting. So his eyes started to be opened. And he said in the past 2 years now, it's really accelerated. And now he's more and more aware of what's going on and really looking to bring the truth forward. And I said, that's exactly what Lewis and I do. It's so in alignment because we're doing the same thing. And, this is what the impetus or the genesis was for this show is, there's enough garbage out there. Let's break through the narrative and let's bring some quality content. Let's bring some truth forward.
Now, isn't it ironic, though, that these people gained their popularity through mainstream media, which is CIA-run state media?
Yep.
Crazy. And now they're the go-to people.
Yep.
It's frustrating. It's like, okay, so you have the honest people that are doing the job all the time, and now the mainstream people are now doing disclosures, and it's like, oh, you're the best guy. Thank you for this, bringing the truth to us. It's like, oh my God, it's hilarious. But I also believe a lot of them had a talking to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm for sure that Newsmax had a talking to because I watched the flip where they were completely controlled opposition. And then the next day after Trump talked to them, they were starting to tell the truth. I go, oh, okay, that seems interesting.
Yep. And I think we're going to see that with the traditional mainstream media as well, more and more. More of this is slipping in there. It's coming through. You're starting to see the cracks in the dam, if you will. And they're only going to plug them up for so long. And these people who are so indoctrinated on the other side and really believe, this is why they're so convincing, because they truly believe the BS that they're feeding everyone. These people are going to be derailed. Because they're going to be so lost, they will not be able to make that turn. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. So they will be removed, and they may remove themselves. Who knows?
Yeah, I see it happen. We've spoken for years about how this is a ground up movement. What that means is, I've always said you had those really way out there truthers back in the day. You can name like maybe a David Icke in there or somebody like that. And revealing information, and then you went to the next level up, and then probably guys like you and I, and then the next level up from there was probably the Steve Bannons and so on and so forth, and so on, and it goes all the way up the ladder. And when I say next level up, I'm that pyramid that goes up is less truth that is disseminated, by the way. So like I still think, and God loves Steve Bannon, but I think he's not telling everything that he knows. I believe he's fed certain story, a narrative that Trump needs or something else, and that's the information that we're getting because these guys can go him, Canasones, all of them. They can go a lot deeper because they know more information, but they seem to cap themselves, which I believe is part of this. Maybe it's part of the operation that's going on, how to slowly acclimate everybody to it. Because I often get frustrated, and I know you watch a lot of these shows, but when I look at it, I'm just like, there's more to the
Oh
story,
yeah, of
and
course,
they know it.
always is. Yeah.
They know it, and they just don't show it.
But they're a big hammer, and I think there may be some real intent here not to overuse the big hammer, right? And just to come in softly with it, and maybe that's what we're really seeing. Because yeah, they could go a lot deeper on a lot of these stories, and they don't. And the question
Yeah.
is, okay, Bannon's got what, 250,000 people watching him every day on all the
Yep.
platforms that he's on, or more. I mean, we don't know the numbers now. Those numbers are about a year old, but that thing keeps growing. That's a big hammer. And, I guess at that point, when the hammer is that big, you go too far. And do you alienate that audience, or do you freak them out, or do you know what I mean? So maybe you got to be a little judicious in how you use that, how you poke that bear. I don't know. You may be right.
You could be right, but you're indicating more like it's their own decision. I think there's some higher level influence
Yeah, there's no way that it's just one person, right? Because you look at what
involved.
we do. How do we stay on track, right? Sometimes it's the viewer that keeps us on track because we can
Yep.
get lost in the soup here. It's possible.
Yep.
And Tucker said the same thing. He said it was kind of interesting because we've been saying this for a long time. He says, we try as hard as possible to bring you the truth, and sometimes we're going to fail.
Yep.
And, when you fail, okay, great. You come back and you say, what we're going to do is we're going to apologize for it, and we're going to make the correction.
Right.
You know,
Hey, Robert, real quick, we're already running really long on this, and we have a guest waiting.
Yep.
So let's go
Let's jump.
through a couple news points, and then maybe we'll pull our guest in a little earlier. So just to be prepared for that, we'll jump a couple stories. I don't think it's fair to keep him back there
Yep.
that long. Guys, yesterday's show, we have people are just loving this show. So a lot of people were asking for the links to the original interview from Maria Farmer. We put the links in the description, not today's show, on yesterday's show about Epstein and the Jewish mafia. So just go to there. Now let's get into. There's a statement from the Rumble founder that actually I could endorse that, and I thought that was huge. You there?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think what's happening is because our guest doesn't have his mic muted, and every time he makes noise, it's clipping you out.
Can you mute him?
I can't from this side.
If you made me, the only way I could is if you made me on the Zoom to run the Zoom.
Oh, hang on. I got him.
Okay, cool.
I got him. It's too many computers here. I got it.
All right, cool. So, anyways, let's read the statement from the Rumble founder, Chris Pavlovsky. And I think this is very, very important. And I actually have more respect for him. He said, quote, I can confirm that this attack has been unprecedented and has been happening since the weekend. Now, he's talking about the major attacks on Rumble that, of course, the mainstream media all said, oh, these are Chinese attacks. And right here, we said, if the whole mainstream media is telling you the Chinese attacks, they're not, because they're getting you to try to swallow a narrative. So what Mr. Pavlovsky said, he goes, I also suspect it is political, coming from activists and organizations who want to censor our creators, and related to J6 videos being posted on Rumble. So this is the founder of Rumble. Based on their investigation, they say this is a very targeted attack, which will explain why our channel was hit so hard. Very targeted attack to creators and anybody that was talking about the J6 videos, so on and so forth. So I think that's very interesting.
We weren't really surprised when I saw that. I saw that this morning too, and I wasn't really surprised because we know. But what was interesting was that he said it was because the J6 videos are being posted there. Well, I wonder who's hosting them because aren't they on a government website, the original videos, and they're just being maybe reshared on Rumble?
Yeah, that's all it is because they're
Yeah,
getting more traction. When you individually share one and have commentary on it, it gets more traction than if somebody has to go search through all the
it's just
tons
raw
of
video.
videos.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah, that are on there.
wow,
Um, Interesting.
yeah.
So let's do one story and then we're going to bring on our guest. Guys, we have an amazing guest with a phenomenal disclosure. Uh, you're going to have to hold your heart because it's not going to feel good to hear this information, but all we care about is truth here. And this gentleman does a phenomenal job and he's passionate about the truth. So we're going to cover a story real quick on the Supreme Court, and then we're going to bring on our guest a little early today. We're excited to talk to him. So, Robert, the Supreme Court agrees to hear the January 6th case, and this could actually affect the Trump prosecution, which I think's huge. So on Wednesday, what they did is they actually agreed to hear an appeal by a guy that his offenses were related to January 6th. They call it assault, of course, on the U.S. Capitol, right? But this can impact all the other criminal cases, and there's two other people that also attached to this guy. So the defendants, Joseph Fisher, but other January 6th defendants, Edward Lang and Garrett Miller, attached themselves to this actual to hear the case. So the federal public defender representing Fisher said he was pleased that the court will clarify the scope of the law in question, but had no further comment. Now, Trump's been charged with the same offense as well as others, possession of assault and theft. So we're going to bring on Jonathan right now from Live Border News. And I'm excited for the audience to hear kind of what you were telling me. But Jonathan, how's it going? Jonathan, can you hear us? You have to unmute yourself. Can you unmute him from your end, Robert?
He's not muted on my end. He's showing as unmuted. It's
No,
not
it shows
picking up his
mute.
audio.
I'm looking at his picture. It has a mute over it. Maybe I'm not reading it
Yeah,
properly.
he's connected to Zoom twice, so there's two of him.
Okay.
Let's see if I can remove. Well, if I remove him, I hope I don't block him.
All right.
Okay, he's
Well,
removed on one. Let's see if we can hear him.
nothing. Nope, can't hear him.
Testing one,
All right.
two. No.
So let's do this. Robert, I'm going to continue with the news. You can work in the background, right? And see if there's something you can do to help.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, guys, pause right. I'm sorry. We're going to have to pause. We apologize. This is live. We're not quite sure what's going on. But I'm going to send you, Robert, his phone number right now via text.
Okay.
So you guys can work on this in the background. And guys, sometimes there's glitches when it's live. We apologize. Yeah, it's a never-ending story. Okay, to Robert. All right, so I'm just sent you his number, Rob. So maybe you can call him directly, get that worked out, and I'll just continue with the news until you guys get it worked out. Cool. All right, let me back up here, guys. See how we pivot so quickly? Adapt and overcome. All right, so let's talk about Jack Smith's alleged role in the extortion scheme. You know who Jack Smith is, right? Come on. He's the engineer on Star Trek, clearly, by the clothes he wears, the little purple and black outfit. So John Moynihan, which I believe you've heard of, filed a whistleblower complaint with the Department of Justice Inspector General's office on the 28th of November, alleging that Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, he's the one pursuing Donald Trump, was engaged in an extortion scheme while he was working at the International Court of Justice. Go figure. Another deep state actor. Huh. Hmm. Is it no coincidence that Jack Smith, in the wake of that complaint, made an impromptu move on Monday, asking the Supreme Court to decide whether Donald Trump had immunity to the charges filed by Smith? Moynihan's complaint was filed on November 28, 2023, and Smith, 13 days later, decides to bypass the appeal courts and smells like politics. So what it looks like is Jack Smith is trying to find a way to really back out of this case. So if the Supreme Court says that, oh, yeah, you really can't do anything to Trump because of this, he has immunity charges, guess what happens? He kicks it to the curb like it never happened, and he's hoping that he, Jack Smith, stays out of the news. Very, very, very interesting. So it looks like it's political dynamite at this point, but it says it provides circumstantial evidence to support Donald Trump's belief that Jack Smith is not only politically motivated, but corrupt. I believe this to be true, and we'll see him back on Star Trek anytime soon. Now, Hunter Biden, who? Hunter Biden. He ignores subpoenas, risking a contempt of Congress charge. Isn't that interesting? So, according to the AP, Hunter Biden on Wednesday defied a congressional subpoena to appear privately for a deposition before Republican investigators who have been digging into his business dealings, insisting outside the U.S. Capitol that he will only testify in public. Now, in a rare public statement, the Democrat president's son slammed a GOP subpoena requesting closed-door testimony, saying it could be manipulated. Now, this is his quote. Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics, expose their baseless inquiry, or hear what I have to say. Biden said outside the Capitol. What are they afraid of? I'm here. Now, I think that's an interesting statement because on the face of it, I would actually agree with Hunter Biden. Why not have it in an open hearing? Why would the Republicans be concerned about that? Well, I don't trust any of them. I don't trust the D's and the R's. They're all completely corrupt. But if the Republicans did a hearing in the background, now they can piecemeal what they want to deliver in what timely fashion to deliver. But you know what else it does is what if there's Republicans that are implicated in this, which I know there are, and maybe that's what makes sense. At the same time, they already know the game, so he comes out there publicly, even though it's a manipulation in the words. So here's James' lawful subpoena, and we will now initiate contempt of Congress proceedings. We will not provide special treatment because his last name is Biden. Well, duh. Of course, James Comer won't. It said, now, guys, remember this? This is a Joe Biden flashback. So reporters asked Biden, quote, Mr. President, what's your message to people who defy congressional subpoenas? Should they be prosecuted by the Justice Department? Joe Biden said, yes. Isn't that interesting? Maybe this is just all part of the movie. I don't know. Now, I find this next story very, very compelling. So they just did a poll in Palestine, and it shows a rise in Hamas support, and close to 90% want Abbas, Mahmoud Abbas, he's the president of Palestine, to resign. Interesting enough, he is the U.S.-backed president. So a wartime opinion poll among Palestinians published Wednesday show a rise in Gaza Strip. The support for Hamas is increasing, while Abbas, the support for him is decreasing, which is interesting because the ultimate goal was for, I believe, the deep state to install Muhammad Abbas to take over all of Palestine. So after Hamas got decimated, why would that be? Because he is controlled by the deep state and the West. Very interesting. So let me read this. It says the findings by a Palestinian pollster signal more difficulties ahead for the Biden administration's post-war vision for Gaza and raise questions the about Israel's stated goal of ending Hamas military and governing capabilities. Well, deep state war. There's you can jump all in on one side if you feel like it, but the reality is it looks like these are deep state puppets that are being completely controlled in this. And as in Ukraine, which we're going to explain later, this could have been over within days and not going on months, and who knows if it goes on years. So Washington, as you know, has called for the West Bank-based Palestinian Authority, currently led by Abbas, to eventually assume control of Gaza. Just like we said, and run both territories as a precursor to statehood. U.S. officials have said that the PA, that's the Palestinian Authority, must be revitalized without letting on whether this would mean leadership changes, because they need their puppet in there. It gets sick. Is it frustrating? It is frustrating. Hey guys, let's talk real quick about something. Have you ever heard of SBG Pets? Oh, I have. SBGpets.com is amazing. It's by far the best food I have seen for pets. Best food, best treats. They have this mushroom component. The results that we have seen with our animals, and so many people that are sending us notices that they're thankful. They get a longer life out of their animals. They're even Robert said they thought their cat Thumper was on his last legs. They were thinking about taking care of business because they're carrying people and they didn't want him to suffer. And the next thing you know, he goes on the pet food, and what happens? He's now jumping up on the bed like he's 5 years old again. Pretty impressive. By the way, the stories go on and on and on and on. I have a 17-year-old German Shepherd that should have been gone a long time ago. And now he has this renewed energy and seems very, very happy. So it's pretty incredible stuff. Just go to sbgpets.com. Very reasonable. Not to mention all the doctor's bills that you probably won't be paying for at the vet. All right. So this is big news. The gubernatorial candidate actually says, get this, the CIA. Hey, finally these guys are getting on board with us. It took them a couple years, but thank you very much. And that was actually a testimony he made by Mike Morrell, which is a former deputy director of the CIA. So it was before Jim Jordan's House Judiciary Committee. What happened is he highlighted Morrell's testimony regarding a conversation with Anthony Blinken, the Biden campaign senior advisor, who later became, of course, Secretary of State. According to Warner, his conversation involved a report about Hunter Biden's laptop that occurred just days before the release of an October 19, 2020 statement from 51 former intelligence officials. The statement suggested that the story about Hunter Biden's laptop was influenced by a Russian disinformation campaign. When Mike Morrell testified under oath to Jim Jordan that, yes, he colluded with Anthony Blinken to sell a lie to the American people 2 weeks before the election for the very purpose of throwing the presidential election. Says, how does it not get stolen if the FBI covers it up? And of course, Mark Zuckerberg throws in $400 million on top of this just to put his thumb on the scale. Very interesting. So it can be recalled during an interview that Jim Jordan and Kash Patel said that Morrell confessed under oath that Biden campaign was behind the letter signed by 51 intelligence officials. So ultimately, the Biden campaign used this against Trump. We know about all this stuff, right? But it's very interesting that finally a public official is really stating this, and they believe the CIA and the FBI are directly involved. In fact, he stated that the CIA and the FBI pose a greater worry for him than foreign adversaries such as Russia and Iran. I think that's huge. Hey, Robert, I have an idea, if you can hear me. If you need to, and I've done this before, you can always put him on speakerphone and put him in front of your microphone, and we can interview him that way. So you give me a thumbs up if you want to do that. I'm just going to continue at this pace. All right, shocking news next. A new poll finds. Now, keep in mind that 43% of 2020 voters cast ballots by mail, which is ridiculous on its face, just so you know. There were approximately 155 million ballots cast in the 2020 presidential election. 43% of that would mean over 66 million voted by mail. Huh. 6-6. Interesting. When you hear the next number two, you're going to go, oh, I see the way they do their little satanic spell casting. So get that number. 66 million voted by mail. 1 in 5 of the 66 million would amount to potentially, here you go, 13.33. There's your 333 million ballots that were illegally cast. So over 13 million ballots were illegally cast. But yet they say the safest election ever, the most secure election in history, was the 2020 election. Stirs in the deep state because they secured the election. Remember, we have to read between the. This is huge news. Let's see if this makes anything in mainstream media, but you guys need to push this narrative because this is an actual poll they respect the Rasmussen reports. That's the deep state loves them, so let's use it against them. Come on, guys. This is huge. And now breaking, Trump's motion to stay proceedings partially is granted. That's right. An appeal on President Trump's immunity puts trial and other proceedings on hold, but court maintains enforcement of protective measures. Trial date and deadlines are paused, awaiting further jurisdictional decisions. So as we've seen since last week, it seems like we're seeing a win for Trump, another win for Trump, and another win for Trump. Do you guys see the momentum shifting? Pretty cool. How we doing, Robert? Am I going to keep rolling? Give me the keep rolling sign or the thumbs up ready to go sign. I'm on the keep rolling sign, guys. Okay, here we go. So now this is new and this is pretty cool, guys. You hear Tucker Carlson's been in the news a lot, right? Okay. So Tucker Carlson, David Sachs, and Congresswoman Luna, you know Paulina Luna, talk about that. That's according to David Sachs. Now, Paulina Luna has a very interesting statement. She says, part of the reason why I've been so vocal about not giving Ukraine any more funding, except for the fact that it pays all the Republicans and Democrats in Congress, right, is that the parliament intent once this war is over, they actually want to take all of the equipment we provided them and essentially start their own Wagner group. Guys, we don't have time to talk about the Wagner group, but if you should look up the Wagner group and you'll know exactly what she's talking about. That's a huge reveal for a congressperson to say, let me tell you. And she went on to say, and I think that the fact is that the Republican Party as a whole, even McConnell, I mean, many people have been complicit in really just supporting the military-industrial complex. And frankly, if Trump had been in office, I think this would have never happened. There would have been peace talks. That's according to Paulina Luna. So that's another breaking story. But without further ado, let's bring on the man, the guy at the border, the one actually bringing the news to you, the real news, the one that the podcasters don't want to tell you about because their head's so far in the freaking clouds, the one that the mainstream media will never talk about, the ones that Congress will run from, and of course everybody in Arizona politics mainly got their heads in the ground. But do they really? No, because I can tell you the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors knows exactly what's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. Let me bring on the man, Jonathan Alexander. How you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing, Lewis?
Wow, it's been a busy news day, a lot going on, but I mean, what you see going on the border is humongous. So let's start off by telling, let's let everybody know what you do, and we've got all your links that we're going to put out there. We have them below, and we have them on the channel. But I also want to after that, I wanted to say what sector you work in because I think that's very, very important. So give them a little bit about your background and what you do.
Well, I have live border news, livebordernews.com. I also have the Facebook channels as well, YouTube. We report on all the crises down in the Tucson sector, Douglas, Arizona as well. I mean, you name it. We've been reporting even in Texas. So what we keep seeing out here is the fake news constantly wants to tell the American people that we don't have a crisis. And anybody that's been following what I'm reporting can see it's a complete invasion on our borders.
Yeah, in fact, you said you stood there many a days, and you've seen them just walk around the wall, come right in, sometimes even being assisted to come through. Am I right?
Yep. You know, Lewis, we just had Paul Jones. He's going for California State Assembly. We had Senator Phil Hart at the border, and we were down there. And I'll tell you what, Paul Jones, he's a former Vietnam veteran, and he's been through three combat tours over in Vietnam. And this man came to the border with us. Ales are battling it out right on our border. And now they've actually surged right through the border wall, getting right past Border Patrol to everybody by the thousands. We had over 20,000, Lewis, go through the border just over the weekend.
20,000.
20,000.
Man.
That's huge.
And the battle that you're saying you're seeing going on right now on the right next to the border on the south side is I believe that is the SJNG cartel against is it versus the Sinaloa cartel?
Sinaloa cartel.
And the background, guys, is the SJNG was a breakoff of the Sinaloa cartel years ago when they had an agreement to share territory for a while.
Yep.
But because there's so much money to be made on the border right now, I believe that's probably why they're fighting for this territory. What do you think, Jonathan?
You're absolutely right. And you know what, Lewis? I don't just do reporting. I'm also a private investigator. So everything that I report on, we investigate it. I just had a meeting down there with Homeland Security, another guy that is down there on the border. I'm not going to mention his name. I don't want to cost him his job. But we had a meeting. And I'll tell you what, we've got enough fentanyl in America. Why are they stockpiling so much of this fentanyl? You know there's no money market in it because there's such an overabundance of it.
Yep.
What we believe is going to happen in Homeland Security, I'm not going to mention his name, but he agreed with what I'm saying, and so did another gentleman down there. I believe they're going to hit our waterways, our food supply. They're going to use it in our crop dusters in a liquid form, and they're going to hit us simultaneously all on the same damn day. If they do that, Lewis, by the time American people realize what the hell just happened to us, we just lost millions and millions of Americans.
And you believe this is going to happen because of the people that are coming over the border are pretty much fighting age males of all nationalities. Is that right?
That's I believe the Biden administration has a little plot up his sleeve. I do. I believe what he thinks he can get away with doing is bringing in this foreign invasion, causing mass casualties, and then he's going to declare martial law. I believe that's what they're going to try to do. Well, or should we say the fake puppet? I'll clarify that. And then guess what? Who remains in power? Your fake puppet.
Right. So, you know, what makes so much sense to me, and as people know here, I try to bring a positive vibe and a positive outlook because I believe God ultimately wins this war. And I don't like to do fear porn, but I like to do real news. And what you're bringing is hard facts of the fentanyl crisis and the people coming over the border. So common sense, which you seem to have a lot of, you put the two together and you said,
Yep.
here's the deal. That's an attack. And you know why it makes so much sense to me, Jonathan, is because
That's the way I see it.
yeah.
And and it's going to get real. I mean, right now we have God up in Douglas, Arizona. Have you ever been to Douglas?
Yep.
Right there at the port of entry. Everybody can just walk on in. So we sent Paul Jones right through, the California Assembly guy. He went right on in to the Mexico side, no questions asked. He turned around, walked right back through our border right there to the port of entry. Border Patrol just waves him on past, including a whole mess of illegals. Didn't even check him for IDs, Lewis. We've got it documented. I mean, if that's not allowing a foreign invasion, I don't know what the hell is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a war. It's an internal war, though. When everybody's looking for anthrax and cyanide, right? You're taking people out. You're going to take people out with fentanyl. Because one thing we haven't mentioned, and you've seen and heard this yourself, because you're deeper into it than I have, that there's been many cases of people just touching fentanyl, and massive seizure, and
I am so glad you just mentioned that. So we just recently down in Laughlin, Nevada, right down the mountain from Kingman, Arizona. There's a little elderly woman decided to sit down and play at this machine where this guy had just got done playing. I guess he was sweating all over the machine, blah, blah, blah. Evidently, he had fentanyl in the system and it was leaking over on the machine from his body pores. She sat down right beside him. I mean, right there, right when he got up. They didn't clean the machine or nothing. She started playing. She OD'd from fentanyl.
wow, from touching the sweat of somebody else that was
That's
on
right.
fentanyl.
Just sitting there pushing on the buttons, playing the machine. Next thing you know, she collapsed right there in the casino. And, that's the thing. When we're down on the border, we tell our team and everybody around us, I don't care how interesting it looks, or I don't care if it's money even, you do not pick it up, period. Because chances are they laced it. I mean,
Yeah,
we've lost border patrol agents down there from picking stuff up off of the ground. I mean, that's pretty serious.
amazing. So speaking of border patrol, based on my investigation and some conversations with border patrol people, um, I hate to say it, but it feels like at least 50% of them are on the bad side of this. What
I'm
do
gonna,
you believe by what you're seeing?
I believe it's more like 70%, Lewis.
Wow.
I did, did you go through those files I sent you?
No.
So I've got over almost five no more death camp alone in Arabaca, Arizona.
Right.
That's where they're making deals with the cartel, the whole 9 yards, agreeing to leave them alone after raiding them several times. They're making deal with the over in Sassabee, Arizona, where they got the water and food drops for the cartel out in the middle of the desert, 50 miles inland on American soil. The Pima County Sheriff protects that water and food drop. And I mean, he's one corrupt SOB, and I'll call him out. I hope he's watching today.
Yeah, say his name, please.
I it's on my other phone.
Okay. Pima County Sheriff, though.
Yeah. Just research them. It's in those Border Patrol reports. Patrol agents that are actually destroying the water and food drops because they didn't believe in feeding the enemy. Those guys were terminated from their job. No women, no children. I've got live footage showing the only people that go to that water and food drop is nothing but cartel, and people can see it right there on my websites as well. I mean,
Yeah,
it shows clear as day the cartel coming in, filling up their water, heading on out.
yeah, and I even said if I guarantee you if it was being used for anybody crossing the other order other than cartel, the cartel would be charging them to use the water at that station anyways.
You got it.
Right. So it's just it's ridiculous. It's very clear that we're doing everything. When I say we're, a lot of the border patrol to support the cartel. We saw a video where they actually took a forklift from the American side and lifted up a barbed wire fence for illegals to come under.
Oh yeah.
Why on earth would they do that if they were on the right side of this?
Well, and I've got the live footage that we've actually documented, recorded it, where they're sitting there cutting barbed wire. Border Patrol was. dragging it out of the way, and then helping the illegals one by one right on through. I mean, yeah,
Amazing.
you took an oath. Those guys all took an oath to protect and defend what? The Constitution
That's
against
right.
all enemies, foreign and domestic. So my question is, why in the hell are they aiding the enemy?
Yeah. It hurts my heart to have these conversations, but we just need to get out the truth. Hey, thank you. Robert put in Chris Nanos is the Pima County Sheriff.
Chris Nanos, there you go.
Okay.
And if
So,
he's watching, I hope he's watching your show, because I want to just say you're one corrupt SOB. You need to step down.
well, that's what we're doing here is we're always exposing these corrupt politicians and sheriffs and border patrol and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And on an undisclosed date, I know I'll be down at the border. I'm not going to tell anybody when I'm going to be down there. You and I will set that up, I'm sure.
You
And
got it.
we'll try to bring down some people who will help with the disclosure also. And it's serious. In fact, there's a picture that kind of went semi-viral, but I believe you were the one that took it or shared it, and that's where the cartel tested out the Trump wall and they put a hole in it. You want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, here just even the other day, they're sitting there right in front of Border Patrol, cutting the wall. The cartel was down at the southern sector. Border Patrol was trying to get them to stay back. They just cut through and rushed the whole mess right through the wall. I mean, it happened right before Border Patrol. And I mean, this is out of hand, Lewis. The whole thing is completely out of hand. Border Patrol, and I'm not exaggerating, are outnumbered 10,000 to 1 down there on the border.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, the reason why you got corrupt Border Patrol, by the way, and I want to just say it, because the cartel gets to these Border Patrol guys. They flat out tell them it's either you're going to assist us, help us, or we know where you live, we know where your wife lives, where your kid goes.
That's right. And they do know where they live. This isn't
Oh,
bluster because there's insiders in the Border Patrol and the government that have given them these lists.
exactly.
They've given them their medical information. They've given their emergency contact lists. They have it all. This is not
And
conjecture, and this is because what people don't understand is the Mexican cartel is run by the American cartel and financed by the Fortune 1000 companies. Those corporations are who finance and run cover and give everything the Mexican cartel need to do their job. And Mexican cartel don't like when I say this, but guess what? They work for the American cartel because it's a business that's being run on this side of
that's right.
the
Hey, I
border.
want to share a real quick story with you, Lewis. So we had
Please.
the senator down there, Bill Hart from Idaho. We tried to get the Arizona senators to come down. They refused. And I'll call them all out. I call them out every day.
Well, real quick. So you got the Arizona senators in Arizona that won't go down there, but this guy's going to come down from Idaho and check it out.
Well, it was his third time for the year coming down.
Amazing.
He's been with me and my team on the border 3 times this year, and that's Senator Phil Hart out of Idaho. So to make a long story short, we're down there on the border of all things. Here's the cartel over on the mountain looking down on us with binoculars. My freaking phone rings, Lewis. I kid you not. It was the cartel on the other end saying, "We see you." And they said, "We're right up here watching you." So don't think the cartel does not have the equipment to get into your phones down there or anything else. That's why we tell people bring down throwaway phone if you're going to be on it, because they've got a way to hack right in through any system down there. So, I mean, and the senator just was flabbergasted. He was like, "How in the hell did they call us?" It was pretty, and I'll tell you what, that should be very alarming to everybody.
Yeah, well, they're very sophisticated. I've seen the equipment that the cartel has. We're talking full armored vehicles, the best weapons that you could have, up-to-date weapons, right? They're not running around with a bunch of crap. They're all wearing bulletproof vests. Some of them even wear helmets as if they were in the army. I
Yep,
mean, it's and it, the this. By the way, guys, hear this. These are man-made vehicles, flak jackets, and armament from America,
yep,
from the United States, right?
that's
I'm
right.
It's crazy. It
Well,
is
keep in
crazy.
mind also, Lewis, they've got armored trucks. I mean, they've got better artillery down there than our military does right now.
Yep. They
I
know
mean,
they use the rocket launchers a lot, from what I
oh yeah,
hear. I
oh yeah,
because
yeah. They actually blew out a section of Trump's wall.
yeah, they put a hole through it, right? And
Yep.
it separated and looked like a almost a V, if I remember
Oh
right.
yeah, I mean, just
Right.
completely demolished that section of the wall. I mean, but that's how severe it's getting down there. We constantly get people going, well, I want to come to the border. I want to come see it. I'm telling them all, unless you're trained and you know how to fight, you have no business being on the border.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. So, Jonathan, I want to leave these people with a positive note. What do you think will make the difference to get this to stop? Forget Trump flying in on a white Pegasus and saving everybody, right? Other than that happening, what do you think? I think I know the answer, but what do you think is going to make the difference to get this to stop?
Well, there's two things that's either going to make a difference, Lewis. Somebody's going to either have the bastards or it's going to take the shot heard around the world. And people don't like to hear that talk. But right now, our forefathers knew this day was coming. They knew it. That's why they put in right in the Constitution that we are not to allow this kind of a corrupt government. And here we are. American people are allowing it.
Yep, and
So
they are. But guess what? The American people can stop it too. And one thing that you can start doing is share Jonathan's stuff from Live Border News all over the place. I mean, everywhere. Your mission, in my opinion, should be to share this information everywhere. In fact, what I'm going to do is we're going to take some extra time. Robert and I, I'm putting him to work. He doesn't even know it. After the show today, and we're going to cut out this section, Jonathan, the interview and the pre-introduction to you, and put them together, and then we're going to post this all over the place because this needs to go viral, folks. But if you want to get the daily updates and the lives, Jonathan's there live, risking his life for you, the American people, right? While we're sitting on our couch, he's down there making a difference. So you can go see him on Facebook, YouTube, and livebordernews.com, I believe it is. But we have all the links below and so on and so forth. So I believe, Jonathan, that we, the people, can still make a difference. But the only way it's going to happen is if the type of information you're putting out goes massively viral.
yeah. It's going to take all of us, Lewis. I mean, it's going to take all the American people to just say, no more. We're done.
Well,
I mean,
Jonathan, I'm going to meet you in the next couple of days in Arizona. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because we're going to be at the America Fest, and there's going to be some influential people there, in my opinion, that need their necks wrung, right? Or need to be pulled by the ear to get their ass down to the border, right? And I'll
that's
make
right.
it my mission to help you accomplish that goal. I believe you're in for that.
You got it, brother. And I'll tell you one thing, Lewis. One of the things I love about you is you remind me of me. I call every corrupt son of a bitch out, and
Yep,
I don't care who I offend. If you're corrupt or you're sitting there not doing your job, you're damn right. I'm going to call your ass out every day of the week.
that's right. Because guess what? They work for we the people. Period. End
That's
of
right.
story.
We hired them. They work for us, not the other way around.
That's it. That's it. Well,
Guys, sorry for my network difficulty. My all my computer was set up. It said I was live. Everything was good, but we got it.
yeah, you did great, Jonathan. Jonathan, we're gonna bid you adieu. I'll be on conversations with you, but I really appreciate the work you're doing. Right, man, really appreciate it. We need more Jonathans in this world because this would end sooner than later. And I believe there is one other thing we can do, folks. It's up to you, but I believe we can pray and we can manifest for a better outcome. So,
One of the things we could use a little extra help with, Lewis, real quick. We do all this unpaid. Anybody wants to go to my website right there, or even on my Facebook, We've got donate now links right there. We could use some extra drones, or if they even want to mail me a used drone, we'll take whatever we can get at this point. There's all kinds of things they can help us with.
I appreciate it. Guys, make sure you go and help Jonathan out. Go to his livebordernews.com or his Facebook, and it's all right there in the description below. Jonathan, I really appreciate all the work you do. Robert, is there anything you want to say before we let Jonathan go here?
I think Lewis, I'm in the chat and listening to the comments, and people are just kind of blown away by what he had to share. And it's really, really refreshing to finally get some truth because there's so much misinformation coming out around the border. So, Jonathan, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate the work you're doing. And, we need more warriors like you down there doing this kind of thing.
Do I have 1 second to share one last thing with your audience?
Absolutely.
Real quick. I was asked to fly out to Boise, Idaho, because I'm out of Idaho. The lieutenant governor asked me to fly on out and give a presentation there in Idaho at the state capitol. I gave a presentation. I think I shared it with you earlier. And, at that presentation, we were showing this January of last year to the House Capitol there in Boise. And there I'm sitting there at a cartel. So the cartel just sat there with the children. And then picked up the head off of the ground, Lewis. Looks at Border Patrol, points the finger over at Border Patrol guy that was right there, and goes, "You, Puta, you're next." Right to the Border Patrol guy.
Wow.
So they were in luck because I had the footage. So I turned around, I said, "Well, you know what, guys? You're in luck today." I said, because I just happen to have this footage right here of what took place. That reporter watched it, Lewis. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up. That reporter watched the live footage of this and instantly vomited all over the state capitol steps and bursted in tears. And he's just going, oh my God, I can't believe what we just witnessed. And I said, you know why you guys can't believe it? I said, because you're so involved in your fake news bullshit. None of you want to come down and see for yourselves what's really happening on our southern borders. Right. And so my point of this story is the message to America. You know what? Unless you're on the front lines with me and my men, don't ever underestimate what we're really going through. Because right now, my team needs prayers as well. The stuff my team has witnessed and seen, I don't want the rest of America to have to see it for themselves. That's why this border needs to come to a halt, and we need to save America while we have a chance.
Yep.
So I appreciate you guys letting me be on your show today. God bless you guys.
I appreciate you, and God bless you, Jonathan. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. You guys have a wonderful day, and appreciate being here. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Whoa.
Well, Robert.
Whoa. Yeah.
Guys, we've been telling you forever, but you heard it right from the man that's there on the border. What the hell's going on? So I'm going to ask our audience this question. How are you now going to handle the podcasters who tell you that there's nothing going on at the border, that it doesn't exist? Is that not patriot fake news? When you hear that type of story? So let me ask, I'm going to hold you guys accountable. What are you going to do next time you hear that the white hats are in control? Are you going to do something about it? Or are you just going to swallow the narrative whole? We've been telling you at Scuba Gov here for years that we do believe, and we have evidence, that there are white hat operations in the background, right? And they've done a lot of good work. But the reality is more of like of a chessboard, and there is a lot of rogue elements that are doing everything they can. Because guess what? You really think the deep state is just going to roll over? Do you think the deep state's just going to say, "Oh, well, you've got this, guys. Take it away"? No, the deep state is going to fight to their last tooth and nail. So it even worse. This is a war. Us, we the people, to be honest and have integrity. Be authentic, right? Be authentic when we're having this conversation. We can't buy the narrative. that everything's a-okay, right? We have to tell the truth. This is a war. I believe we're making great headway. I actually believe we, the people, have the momentum now. It's amazing watching what's being disclosed in the news, and it's only going to get better, guys. So I do believe we have this. All right. So, Robert, did you have a chance to study anything about this SpaceX almost $1 billion deal?
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Wow, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, that was that was interesting. That's not that story though. Let's fast forward one story here. So the FCC is who's behind this. They rejected $900 million subsidy for SpaceX amid concerns of government weaponization. Really? Move to make X a free speech social platform. This concern was underscored in a decision by the U.S. Federal Communications Commission today, or Tuesday, to withhold approximately $900 million in rural broadband subsidies for SpaceX satellite internet unit called Starlink. So this was a program where the FCC said, we're going to help fund these companies so that people out in the boonies, like where I am right now, can get better internet. And now this has been cut. And it's kind of interesting because they said, after careful review, we find that the Bureau followed Commission guidance correctly and concluded Starlink was not reasonably capable of offering the required high-speed, low-latency service throughout the areas where one auctions support. The FCC said this in a 3-2 ruling against Starlink. Funny, though. Meanwhile, SpaceX has accelerated its rocket launches to put more Starlink satellites into orbit every month, and there are about 5,000 satellites in space right now, and you can see this right here. This is kind of an interesting chart because if you look at the white one, the white line, that's the total number of satellites in space, about 5,000 now on Starlink. And if you look at the green, that's the ones that are in service. The yellow, inactive, maybe not activated yet. You know, who knows? Maybe they need a software update. Who knows? And the red are burned. I'm not quite sure what they mean by burned, but that's an interesting terminology to use for a satellite, isn't it? So Elon believes it's politically motivated.
Well, here's what's interesting. It does sound politically motivated.
It does.
And isn't it ironic that the FCC, I want you guys to hear this statement because this is the headline, and it's like an oxymoron. The FCC rejects $900 million subsidy for SpaceX amid concerns of government weaponization. The FCC is concerned about government weaponization.
You caught that too,
God.
huh?
You think Elon may have nailed it with this could be political?
Yeah, just a little political, I'm thinking, just a little bit here.
So the government weaponization would have to be in their minds in 2024 if Trump was reelected, right? That's the only thing they could be thinking.
Well, because he's got Twitter/X now, and that's a free speech platform, which was controlled by the government prior to get their messaging out and to block everything that they didn't agree with. That's a big thorn in their side. And, the usage on that site has gone way up. Hasn't gone down, which is what they were expecting would happen. It's actually gone way up because people are free to speak their mind and free to post what they need to post. They don't accept violence and nudity and things like that. The normal stuff that we would expect as a society that doesn't fit. But political opinion, go ahead. I mean, we're streaming on there right now. Carol Maureen Friesen said, she couldn't get on Rumble the other day in Costa Rica. So she went on my X account and was able to get the stream because we stream there as well as a backup. So yep. We're not banned, we're not blocked, and we could talk about this, so we could talk about it freely, which is fantastic. Before Elon took it, wouldn't have happened. And now, the FCC is saying, well, and they're factoring this in, which doesn't make any sense because Starlink is about internet access to rural areas, which they've been trying for years to put money into to get these companies to do something to bring internet out here. They're not going to drag fiber out here. They're not going to drag copper out here. It's too much. There's the distance between homes is crazy. Really, really a lot of, half a mile between homes or more. They're not going to do that. They prefer to work in a track home where there's a home every 50 feet. Bam, 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 bam. That's easy to wire that up. But something like this is not going to happen. So you need a wireless solution. And Starlink, there's a lot of people out here who use Starlink. A lot of them complain about it, that there's not enough capacity. And, if they don't have a satellite overhead, it goes down. And it's been down for, sometimes 3-4 days at a time. But, they got 5,000 satellites and they keep launching more. So it's getting better. So why not continue to fund it? I see no reason not to fund this thing, not to subsidize it.
Yep. Agree. So for those of you guys that are listening to this and you think for some reason that we're drinking the Elon Kool-Aid, let's add some context to that. I actually think this is Elon 2.0. I don't have my tinfoil hat right next to me. Where is it when I need it? But I actually think it's Elon 2.0 anyways. Either and or, I believe, just like what happened to Newsmax and what I believe happened to Tucker, somebody had a talking to and they said, guys, you need to choose a side. This is a good versus evil battle. And based on what we just showed with Jonathan and the border, I think the evil is controlling the border. I believe they're controlling parts of California, parts of New York, and Chicago, and some other inner cities, probably about 14 cities, and other governments. But I do believe there's good out there also. And so we have to use our discernment on these things. But this does not appear to be the original Elon, in my opinion, at least in what he's doing. Because we know he wants to chip everybody and so on and so forth, but something else is going on here. This is a disclosure is what's going on, and Twitter's full of free speech. Although I did send a tweet to Elon today, believe it or not, and I said, Elon, in fact, let me see where it is. I'll read it to you guys because I think it's probably right up here in real time. Let me see here. Do I have it? I don't have it. Anyways, so it was something to the effect of Elon, after you came on, I was deleted from then known as Twitter. Was it because I posted or I was exposing the Khazarian Mafia? What was it? Did you have a rogue employee working for you back then? Why am I not back now? Are you afraid of the Khazarian Mafia conversation? So that's what I sent him today, because I actually got deleted completely. My account went bye-bye after Elon already took over. So, but I do believe that X is definitely going in the right direction. And I know you've mentioned many times it's the go-to place for news now.
Right now it is. It's they're so far ahead of everything else, and it's kind of funny because you see this. I saw this on X yesterday, and now it shows up on Gateway Pundit and shows up on Citizen Free Press and all the rest of this stuff. It's like, but it was there 24 hours ago. What took you guys so long? And sometimes we actually talk about stories here that aren't on these main websites, and they show up a day later. And where we're getting the information from, one of the best feeds is X, and it really depends on who you follow. So be very judicious in who you follow on there.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, guys, let's end this with how about a heartwarming moments? This video is, I just like to, after such heavy information, guys, we like to bring the vibe up a little bit. So I'm traveling, over the next 5 days, I think. I'll be all over the place doing some special things. We'll catch up. Robert will be here tomorrow with something special, I believe. Is that right?
I'm working on something special.
Cool. So you guys definitely want to be here. He's told me something pretty cool.
We have, you know what? We have finally gotten to a point, Lewis, where people are noticing this show, and when we invite them to come on the show, it's not it's a I'd love to. Right. And some bigger names too, which is really fascinating. Jonathan was a phenomenal guest today, and he just brought the heat. And we're going to have more guests like this going forward.
Yeah, we're really building some momentum for you guys here, and whatever we can do to get the truth out to y'all. Robert made mention of something in passing today that we joke about in the background, and we're very proud of this. Oftentimes we do some reporting on here, and you'll see another channel with sometimes 10, 20 times the viewership that we get, literally reporting our news. The difference is they don't give us any credit for it, but it's okay. It's okay. It is what it is. But it still makes us proud because we're in the background going, there we go, there we go. So we're always trying to be ahead of the curve, guys, because guess what? You, which is we the people, you deserve it. You've earned it. You've worked hard to get to this moment right here. So we do everything to work for you. And God, we love you so much.
Yeah. Thank you all. And we'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same channel. Appreciate every single